Sally informs her lover she's never seen him at Billy's new apartment, leaving him stunned. Billy is simply admiring the home she created. The actuality of it all is just astounding. He acknowledges that he was a little anxious. She may have chosen fluffy and big. Because you're on it, he says, referring to the couch as his favorite piece despite the exquisite details and attention to detail. They share a kiss. Now who's speechless? Billy asks. Sally merely pondered. She wants to know how he can improve his job after he requested her to renovate his house. After pouring Sally some bubbly, Billy says he wants to build something, but he's not sure what. Sally believes she might be able to assist him in solving it. They talk about pursuing your passions and launching a company you love. Billy reflects that every company he has worked for was the idea of someone else. Now, he can start over with something that embodies who he is. He admits to Sally that his motivations for wanting to keep Chancellor were flawed. He didn't love it as much as he would have if it were his. He viewed it as a way to establish his worth. You made that clear to me. Anything you do as retaliation is bound to fail. Sally can relate to the need to prove oneself in a society that constantly tells you you're not good enough. Billy says she warned him about taking a bad turn. He has changed his mind and released his hatred and fury. Sally queries whether he is certain of that. Billy Sally YNR. Ian shouts that he wants to kiss and make up as he walks into the motel room holding a rose. Michael replies, "You shouldn't have," as he comes out of the adjacent room. What is he doing there? Ian asks. Michael believes that Jordan, not him, was the recipient of the rose. He ought to have purchased lilies. What do you mean by that? Ian says. Before Ian declares he is finished with the covert threats, they argue over biblical passages. According to Michael, his warning was meant to be quite obvious. He is there to inform Ian that Mr. Newman needs him right now. Ian requests that Michael apologize to his supervisor. Waiting for his woman friend is what he wants. Michael believes he's talking about Jordan. That's none of my business, Ian says. Jordan committed suicide that evening, Michael tells him. Ian says he doesn't know anyone with that name. Michael is aware that he spoke with her when they were both in prison. Ian will offer up prayers for her tormented spirit. As Ward opens the door to go, Morton's son, Victor's goon, appears and points out the revolver in his jacket. Ian is advised by Michael to accompany them. Nick joins Sharon and Mariah at her house and inquires as to whether the redhead is certain that Tessa and Aria are gone. Aria's favorite stuffed animal was abandoned, and Mariah is unable to locate them anywhere. Sharon is concerned that Ian was assisted in taking them by Jordan. Nick claims that it wasn't her and that they are no longer concerned about her. Jordan has passed away. Ian poses a threat to Mariah and her whole family, therefore they must concentrate on him. Mariah takes Tessa's coat and leaves another voicemail on her phone. She is unable to do nothing except sit about. Nick asks her about Tessa's sympathy for Ian and her dispute with her wife. Mariah acknowledges that she stormed out after seeing her defend that monster. Tessa and Aria were gone when she returned home after seeing Sharon to see how she was doing. No evidence of forced entry was found. Nick and Sharon believe Tessa could have required some room. Mariah contends that, particularly in light of their experiences with Sharon, she would never have taken Aria without notifying her. She's right, says Sharon. Victor is aware that Mariah's family requires greater security, according to Nick. Jordan attested to Ian's return for her. Mariah is asked by Nick when she and Tessa last saw Ian. Mariah fears that she incited him to act in this way. He will always want to reintegrate her into his life. After killing Heather, he has now enlisted Tessa and Aria in this scheme. Unaware of their well-being, she believes he wants her to suffer. She is reminded by Nick that they are unaware that he killed Heather. Jordan found himself in a tight spot. No one in the world knows Ian as well as Mariah does. This is what he did. Nick thinks she's correct. He is furious that Tessa and Aria will be safely brought home after they catch that son of a bitch. Mariah, Sharon, Nick YNR. Ian is seated in a chair at the ranch while Victor's goon stands over him. As Victor enters, he thinks, "I'll be damned. We are honored to have Ian Ward here. Will Nikki be joining them?" Ian asks. Victor cautions him against bringing up her name. Ian asks him what he desires. "I want to hear your last confession," Victor responds. Ian has nothing to reveal. He has a clear conscience. He offers to pardon them and listen to their confessions. "How generous of you," snarks Victor. They argue vocally, and Victor urges Ian to confess his transgressions once more. Ian laughs. "To whom do you want me to confess?" According to Victor, they will begin with Heather Stevens. Ian is aware that Sharon killed the woman. He came upon it on the internet. "You killed her and your cohort, Jordan," Victor says. Ian says he doesn't know anyone with that name. "Cut the crap," says Victor. Either he confesses or he will meet his maker and suffer the same fate as Jordan. He informs Sally at Billy's house that he will not allow anyone to enjoy watching him stroll around the community with a pained expression on his face. This concerns his mother. If he has spoken to her, Sally asks. He claims that since she sold Chancellor, there hasn't been any communication. "I'm determined to do this correctly." Sally questions whether he truly doesn't know what he wants his business to be. He doesn't. Sally proposes that they come up with ideas. He laughs that he has performed in a number of clown shows and teases that she claimed he would be a wonderful lion tamer. Sally exhorts him to follow his heart and discover what business experience brought him the most joy. He enjoyed creating his podcasts, Chancecom, and the TV series he created for Restless Style. So maybe something in media, Sally thinks. He would be directly competing with Newman Media, she observes. Billy must admit that it sounds good to stick it to Victor and Adam. Nick and Mariah talk about how Ian has been making fun of them ever since he returned to Sharon's house. Nick decides to keep quiet in order to reorganize. His father's security detail will track him down. Mariah inquires as to whether they are expected to simply sit and wait. Nick claims that Ian will not benefit from hurting them if he already possesses them. Most likely, he wants to use them as leverage. Mariah sobs that Arya and Tessa will be scared. In her mother's arms, she sobs. Although Mariah couldn't close her eyes if she wanted to, Sharon tells her daughter that she has to sleep. She is persuaded to go upstairs by Sharon and Nick. Nick tells Sharon he's going to call Chance to give him an update when he's alone himself. According to Sharon, none of them will go to sleep until this nightmare is gone. Sharon Mariah YNR. Ian tells Victor at the ranch that he is threatening him in front of onlookers. He is certain that he killed this Jordanian individual. Victor no longer sees the purpose of his life. According to Michael, death pacts are popular among cult leaders. He decided to get ready to make a confession. Your signature is all that is required. The henchman of Victor approaches and touches his gun. Victor and Michael are reminded by Ian that he left a note at the police station. That has all disappeared, according to Michael. Ian contends that he would already be dead if it were the case. Victor reiterates, "You have no reason to live now that Sharon is safely at home." "That's not quite accurate," says Nick as he enters. Mariah sighs, sits down, and looks out the window at Sharon's house. Given that he has Tessa and their beloved Arya, how could she possibly sleep for a moment? She sees him smiling and making fun of her suffering when she shuts her eyes. She considers the occasions when she could have killed him but chose not to. "I'm not going to let it pass if she ever has the chance again." She picks up her phone, phones Tessa once more, and leaves a message stating that she would want to call and listen to her voice. She's hoping to hear her voice or hear this in the near future. She hopes that she is only punishing her because she is angry with her. "Because those can't be the final words I say to your lovely, foolish face." She begs her to yell at her and give her a call back. "Give me a call back so I can tell you how much I love you, our little girl, and our life together in particular." She is determined not to waste any more time. She chokes out, "Just give me a call back and let me know that you're okay," and Sharon listens. Nick asks Ian to inform him where Tessa and Arya are at the property. "What do you know about this?" Michael demands fiercely as he gets to his feet. Michael tells Nick to wait as he tries to beat the truth out of Ward. Ian argues that he has no justification for detaining Tessa and her kid. Nick claims that everyone is aware of his desire to reintegrate into Mariah's life. Ian maintains that his transgressions are behind him. "I've changed my ways. I am tired of all these lies," yells Nick. "Please let me know where Tessa and Arya are right now." Sally claims at Billy's residence that she has no ill will toward her ex, but she is really supportive of her new partner. She wonders if Billy is preparing for their vacation to Paris as he teases her in French. They make out. Then Sally tells him how hot this new Billy Abbott is. They start making out once more as they approach the doorway. When she finally drags him into a bedroom, they begin taking off their clothes and collapse onto the bed to make passionate love. Billy exits the bedroom to obtain more champagne after having sex. "We need to talk," he texts Jill after picking up his phone. "I have a great deal to say." Sally yells, "I need water." Billy reports that a French tutor is en route to her. Mariah is aware that Tessa is making every effort to keep Arya safe at Sharon's house. She is joined by Sharon, who reminds her of their hike with Arya from the previous spring. Tessa placed herself between them and an angry dog that charged at them, and the dog turned and fled. Ian is a rabid dog, Mariah declares. According to Sharon, Tessa will stop at nothing to keep Arya safe. Mariah simply continues repeating this, "I am the reason Ian is in our lives. It's all on me, regardless of what they're going through, what Sharon has been through, or Heather's passing." She desires Ian to be completely destroyed and eradicated from the planet. Nick tells Ian to speak up at the ranch. In response, Ian says, "Or will you strike me?" Nick's performance will be far worse than that. Michael cautions Nick that they must first find out where Tessa and Arya are. Victor and Ian argue over whether or not he can change. Victor signals his goon to begin roughhousing Ian. Ian raises his revolver and abruptly pushes the man aside. Startled, Michael and Nick leap back. Ian reflects, well, when he holds the gun on Victor, Nick, Michael, and the henchman. "It appears that I will soon have to make a confession." Billy stood in the middle of the living room at his house, his jaw tight as he declared to Sally, "I will not allow anyone to enjoy watching me stroll around the community with a pained expression on my face." His defiance concerned his mother, Jill, who had always worried about his impulsive nature. Sally, ever perceptive, asked, "Have you spoken to her?" referring to Jill. Billy shook his head. Since she sold Chancellor, there hasn't been any communication. Determined, he stated, "I'm going to do this right." Sally studied him, questioning whether he truly knew what he wanted his business to be. Billy hesitated before admitting that he didn't. Always quick with ideas, Sally suggested brainstorming. With a chuckle, Billy recalled his eclectic past. "I've performed in a number of clown shows," he quipped. "You even said I'd make a great lion tamer." Sally smiled, urging him to think about what had truly brought him joy. He reflected, mentioning his work on his podcast, Chancecom, and the TV series he created for Restless Style. "So maybe something in media?" Sally mused. Billy considered it, realizing that going into media meant directly competing with Newman Media. The idea of going up against Victor and Adam had undeniable appeal. "That actually sounds pretty good," Billy admitted. Meanwhile, across town, Nick and Mariah sat together, tension hanging thick between them. "Ever since Ian returned to Sharon's house, he's been mocking us," Mariah vented. Nick, trying to keep his composure, decided to stay quiet and reorganize his approach. "Dad's security detail will track him down," he assured her. But Mariah, filled with fear, asked, "Are we just supposed to sit and wait?" Nick reasoned that Ian would not harm them immediately, he wanted leverage. Mariah, distressed, worried about Arya and Tessa. Clutching her mother, she broke down, unable to rest. Sharon, always the steady force in their lives, coaxed her to go upstairs. None of us will sleep until this nightmare is over, Sharon whispered to Nick as they were left alone. At the Newman Ranch, Ian smirked at Victor, taunting him. You're threatening me in front of an audience, he said. He accused Victor of killing a Jordanian associate, insinuating that Victor no longer had a purpose. Michael Baldwin, present and sharp as ever, pointed out that death pacts were a common theme among cult leaders. Ian was ready to confess, he just needed a signature. Victor's goon reached for his gun, but Ian coolly reminded them, I left a note at the police station. Michael countered, that has all disappeared. Ian smirked. If that were true, I'd be dead already. Just then, Nick entered the room, his voice firm. That's not quite accurate. Back at Sharon's house, Mariah sat by the window, lost in thought. She imagined Tessa and Arya, safe yet frightened. Closing her eyes, she could see Ian's mocking grin. Regret and anger burned in her chest. If I ever have the chance again, I won't let it pass. She picked up her phone, leaving a message for Tessa. I just need to hear your voice, she pleaded. She begged for a callback, desperate to reaffirm their love. Sharon listened from a distance, her heart breaking for her daughter. At the ranch, Nick confronted Ian. Tell me where Tessa and Arya are. Michael, furious, demanded answers, while Nick restrained himself from lashing out. Ian, ever the manipulator, insisted, I have no reason to keep them. But Nick didn't buy it. You've always wanted to worm your way into Mariah's life. Ian, feigning sincerity, declared, I've changed my ways. Nick wasn't convinced. Enough of the lies. Tell me where they are. Now. Back at Billy's house, Sally insisted she had no ill will toward her ex but was fully supportive of her new relationship. Billy, teasing her in French, flirted about their trip to Paris. Their playful banter soon turned passionate, leading them to the bedroom. Afterward, Billy retrieved his phone and texted Jill, we need to talk. I have a lot to say. Sally, still glowing from their intimacy, called out, I need water. Billy chuckled, promising that a French tutor was on the way. Mariah remained restless at Sharon's house, guilt gnawing at her. I am the reason Ian is in our lives, she murmured. It's all on me. Sharon tried to console her, reminding her of Tessa's bravery. Ian is just a rabid dog, Mariah growled. And he needs to be put down. Nick, still at the ranch, demanded Ian speak. Or what? Ian smirked. Will you hit me? Nick's fury burned, but Michael warned him to stay focused. Victor signaled his goon, who grabbed Ian roughly. But Ian, always one step ahead, reached for a hidden gun and shoved the man aside. Nick, Michael, and Victor froze as Ian held them at gunpoint. Well, Ian sneered. It seems I'll be making my confession after all.